Just what I need, another game to be hyped for. Nintendo and Square Enix recently dropped a trailer that gives us a more in-depth look at the Switch-exclusive adventure RPG Dragon Quest Treasures. How's it looking? Well, like most other Dragon Quest spin-offs, pretty darn good. Let's take a closer look at the trailer and talk about why I'm so excited for this game. Our protagonists are brother and sister Eric and Mia. It's confirmed that we can play as both in Dragon Quest Treasures. These are familiar characters, as Eric is a party member from Dragon Quest XI, and his sister Mia plays a role in that game's story. Events and treasures take place before the events of Dragon Quest XI, as we can clearly tell from both characters' kitty appearance. And kid voices that, I'm not gonna lie, are pretty jarring at first.
I hereby declare this our gang's brand new base.
These characters will be voice acted, but I'm actually hoping there won't be too much in terms of voice cutscenes. A, because I don't think the game really needs it, and B, I'm not a huge fan of these child voices. I understand the lighter tone Square's trying to go for here, but for me, I'd rather see the gameplay do most of the talking, with of course, the addition of the iconic Dragon Quest series music and sound effects. Speaking of voice acting, Persila and Porcus, the winged cat and pig spirits both Eric and Mia befriend in this game, are fully voiced too, as voice credit for each was previously listed by Square Enix. The adventure takes place in the land of Draconia, a landmass that seems to be shaped like a dragon itself. It's exploring the environments of Draconia where it seems like Dragon Quest Treasures is going to shine. What's impressing me most is how many traversal options there are. Just in this trailer alone, we see swimming, gliding, sprinting, and even bouncing, getting a Pokemon Legends Arceus type feel with how we move around. And I really think bouncing, as we see on the slimes as well as the golem here, is a creative way to add vertical mobility, as opposed to adding climbing or forcing us to get higher ground before a glide. The world traversal options are all a result of befriending some of these well-known Dragon Quest series monsters, a concept first brought to us by one of this game's main inspirations, the aptly named Dragon Quest Monsters titles. Monsters have several other uses in treasures as well, including obviously combat help and the ability to have visions. In this game, monsters will be the ones pointing you in the right direction toward treasure, as you can see here in this clip with the pink slime and Draki pointing out the general position of a buried treasure as Eric comes over to dig it up. Okay, I was actually kind of floored by this scene. Let's look here at this sequence. Eric bounds on a king slime over the Gigantus and lines up for a headshot. What is this, Breath of the Wild? Before this, I thought we'd be relying solely on the monsters for combat, but that's clearly not the case due to what we see here. Eric aiming his slingshot to fire these pellets, which we'll talk about later. This looks extremely fun and gives me a much different impression of the combat system than I had previously. It's much more action-based than I expected. Along with that, I hope we can use the Switch gyro to aim the slingshot, but that's just a personal preference of mine. And real quick, it looks like if any of your active monsters have a field ability, which is I believe called a Forte in this game, or even a special move in combat, as we can see from this clip with Mia, it's mapped to one of the controller's face buttons. All in all, I'm excited to see what more this game's combat has to offer. It does look fairly basic from the shots we see here, but I'm sure there are a bunch of monster special moves and slingshot pellet effects that we haven't seen yet, and I think those things could do a great deal to spice up this game's enemy encounters. The team base is where we'll be spending most of our time when we're not out treasure hunting. It's here where we'll be able to appraise the treasures that we find. I appreciate that a lot of the treasures will be Dragon Quest series callbacks. Always love to see stuff like that. The more expensive the treasure, the more the value of the vault will grow, subsequently raising the rank. But I'm not yet clear on exactly what that means, and it's not stated explicitly anywhere else. But based on the party members being shown to have differing levels, I assume those are not tied to rank. I'm thinking that instead, maybe a higher base rank will let you recruit better monsters, craft better recipes, that kind of thing. To my surprise, the way we recruit monsters seems to be by collecting the right pickups. As we can see from the short clip here, we have a catalog of recruitable team members for various item fees. Any monsters we recruit will be stored within our ranks, the dormitory, and it's from there where we can multitask and send some of our currently inactive monsters out on merc missions. On these dispatch missions, the monsters will have the chance to find rare treasure, so we'll have to juggle managing these passive missions with our own active excursion efforts. The base also has a shop, at which you can buy various items for gold. Based on how many things items seem to be used for, it seems like this is a shop that will be visited often, whether it's for items required as a fee to recruit a monster or for ingredients to make pellets and recipes, which we'll see next. The trailer also made it a point to show off the pellet factory and cafeteria. At the factory, we can make pellets that have various effects on the field. For example, offensive pellets will likely be Eric's slingshot ammo, like the zap pellet shown here that deals electrical damage to an enemy. There's also categories for healing and other, so it seems that pellets will have a lot of uses, whether it's as a health restore consumable or maybe something that can inflict a status condition on an enemy monster. There's also a cafeteria that allows us to cook dishes that offer an, I'm assuming, temporary stat buff. For example, this beefy brisket slightly increases max HP. If you look closely at this flavor text, it appears that monsters will have a certain favorite dish, so cooking the right foods for your team might lead to even more additional buffs. So it looks like the loop will be find treasure to get gold, then buy ingredients, use those to recruit monsters, make pellets or cook food, which will in turn help us find even more treasure and even more ingredients. Seems like fun, I like it. And behind it all, there looks to be a narrative around the 7 dragon stones. These are likely the main motivation of Eric and Mia's treasure hunt. And these things must be pretty special, as we're shown a rival faction who I'm assuming is also on the hunt for these legendary items. I have to say, this looks like a pretty menacing group to be facing off against 2 little kids. But this is Eric and Mia we're talking about, and if we remember from Dragon Quest XI, these are 2 tough cookies. I think they can handle it. While it was always on my radar, this is the trailer that really opened my eyes to Dragon Quest treasures. It looks like it's doing all the right things, in my opinion. A treasure hunt game with an exploration focus, light RPG elements, and monster taming to boot. I honestly couldn't draw up a better lighthearted chill game for the holiday season. But what do you think? Is Dragon Quest Treasures one you're keeping your eye on? I need to see more definitely, but it's starting to look more and more like a day one buy for me on Switch. Although it bears a striking similarity to Pokemon Scarlet and Violet, which I'll probably have played hours and hours of before this one is even out. Either way, this latest trailer has definitely piqued my interest. And if this video captured your interest at all, then keep it here with this channel so you don't miss out on more quality Nintendo content. Thanks for watching everyone, and I'll see you in the next video.